that changed my life, that riff.
I mean, that's kind of made for a beginner.
Outside the first time I had sex, that might have been the best moment of my life.
Well, I mean, the first, when I was actually able to play that lick, I mean, that was like a major breakthrough. But then, you know, like my guitar teacher, Leroy Wright, I remember him showing me, you know, like how it all, and then, you know, all the scales that connected to it. You know what I mean? Then, you know, and that. You know, like wow, it all connects together. You know what I mean? So then that's when things started kind of making sense. So probably Back in Black, and I remember. Probably Tangerine by Zeppelin was like the first like chord song that I learned.
When you started playing guitar, what was the first riff you learned? What was the first song you learned?
Could have been like either Wipeout or Blowing in the Wind. Those were pretty early on.
Yeah.
I
love it.
I guess like the first riff I learned by them that I thought was like that I could actually play. Do you know what I mean? When you begin was like doesn't know like Enter Sandman or something, just like the, and then like that was like super good because I think it's like they've got everything from like a beginner. You can play it, and then as you get better, you can progress and learn more of the songs and stuff. So it's a sick riff to learn when you're like starting out, and all that stuff. But it also helps like learning to palm mute and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think that was like the first one I actually could play.
Kind of keeping what I was saying, the first riff, like guitar part I learned, like was, I think the Clash. Should I Stay or Should I Go? It was like, it even did the like, you know, anybody can do that. I mean, that's kind of made for a beginner, and I think I knew that at the time, so I was like, I bet I can figure that out.
So the first riff I ever learned was actually from Hey Hey My My, Neil Young, and I'd gone over to Kevin Moore's house. Kevin Moore was the original keyboard player in Dream Theater. We were best friends growing up on Long Island. He lived right around the corner. He was having a jam session, and they needed somebody to play the guitar line, and I don't remember who taught it to me. I learned it and was struggling, couldn't play it, but it was the first thing I learned was the Neil Young riff.
Probably this was the first thing I ever figured out on guitar.
The Monkees.
The Beatles.
Oh, see, it sounds like the Monkees.
Same time period.
Yeah.
But then that I realized that was kind of a surf inspired leg, and then I started to learn something. Just like single note stuff.
Yeah. And those were also the first songs you learned as well when you picked up the guitar?
It's definitely started with Beatles songs.
Beatles songs.
Yeah, that tune, Day Tripper.
Yeah.
Just real basic things, to learn chords.
Awesome.
Yeah, stuff like, Let It Be. G, A minor, F. And it was just great for that type of stuff.
Awesome.
My first riff that I ever learned was and my hands were like Love Is Like Oxygen. After that, I just started, I think it was Def Leppard. And they weren't really like the super metal band, but everybody was playing this riff.
Great riff,
out of tune there, but yeah.
Yeah.
First riff I ever learned, it's a really, really silly one. Here's the thing. When I first started playing guitar, I was 10 or 11, and I don't know, I never watched this show. It was called Peter Gunn, and it's super simple. It's just... And that's all I learned. And I was like, oh, I'm a guitar player. Like, it was immediately, I was like, that's it. Now I got to start a band, and I did. But I was told I couldn't play guitar, and I had to play drums.
The first riff I ever learned was probably Folsom Prison Blues by Johnny Cash. With distortion, it sounds a little weird, but it's like... I hear the train. That chord there. And time keeps moving. How's it go? That's it. That was it.
Here on Gear Factor, we love talking to folks about, especially legends like yourself, about, you know, that first riff you heard when you were a little kid, that so you saw someone playing guitar and said, I want to be on that stage, I want to do what they're doing.
Yeah, it was
Mark
Bolan, and just the hair and the image, and it was, you know, he really was, in my eyes, the grandfather of the glam rock movement,
Right.
you know. And I was thinking, this is cool. I have an older sister. I thought, I can go upstairs and wear my sister's clothes and get a guitar and grow my hair. So I did grow my hair. I eventually did get a guitar. Fortunately for the world, I did not fit into my sister's clothes, so I was spared that. We were all spared that embarrassment, but that was what really did it for me. That was my light bulb moment. I was probably about 9 years old.
What was the first riff that you ever learned? I believe it was from a Rush song called Bacchus Plateau, which I have absolutely no idea what sounds like now. So I'll go into some of the riffs that I was playing around that time. I loved all the Ramones songs, and one of the very first ones that I remember playing was I Don't Want to Go Down to the Basement. I really liked all the Ramones songs, and I played the first song to the last song on every Ramones record that I had, and really developed the stamina and the chord, you know, the chords at the very early stages of my playing.
So when I was a kid, my older brother Dan used to listen to metal upstairs, and I always heard this song about a sanitarium, and it turned into one of my favorite songs from my favorite records, Master of Puppets, and Welcome Home Sanitarium. Last time we were here, I played that on the little Hello Kitty guitar, but yeah, that riff is one of my very first riffs I ever played.
Well, it was the second riff I ever learned to play, which is Judas Priest. I was at a friend of mine's house. He was a drummer, and he had a guitar, but he had a guitar. And I remember I picked up the guitar, and he's like, "You want to learn how to play Breaking the Law?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, that would be awesome." But I thought it would be way too hard. I was like, "Oh, it seems so intimidating." So he showed it to me, and I tell you what, that might be one of, outside the first time I had sex, that might have been the best moment of my life.
The first riff I ever learned was either the second song on Bad Religion's first album, which goes... or it could have been Paranoid by the Dickies, not Black Sabbath.
The first riff I ever learned was also Jimmy, and it was a fairly simple one, and that's probably why I attempted it as a kid. It was Jimmy's version of the Trog's Wild Thing, and there's been some legendary performances of Wild Thing. Most notably, the one I remember first was the one from the Monterey Pop Festival, where Jimmy set his guitar alight, and there's T-shirts and posters of it, everywhere. And he done all that sort of stuff on the neck or whatever. It sounds like a load of noise when I play it, but that's the way that Jimmy was playing it.
My cousin came over because he was on the couch playing Battletoads in front of me, and he's like, no, man, you grab your guitar, you sit it on your lap like this, you just press the off button on this amplifier, and you take this magazine and you learn how to play. So we opened it up to a tab, and the tab was of this band called Anthrax. And then they had a feature where they tabbed out Cotton Mosh. And so I kind of picked it up like this and just saw like 1, 3, 4, you know what I mean? And just started eventually learning how to play like... And that was the first riff I ever got to learn. I didn't play it as well back then, but that really set me off on a path. And to this day, my favorite thrash metal band is still Anthrax.
And I mean, that riff blew my mind. And we've talked about this, how you had a box of CDs that showed up at your house with other people's names on them.
Yeah.
I had a box of records that showed up at my house with other people's names on them. And one of them was AC/DC, Highway to Hell.
Yeah, okay.
And so it had that song on it, Beating Around the Bush. And so I learned how to play it, but it was probably like really slow at first, and eventually fast. I can still only play it okay.
Well, we'll just do Into the Void. This is the first one when I smoked weed for the first time, and I was with this friend of mine, and I just remember hearing, that was like the first real entrance to heavy metal that I wanted. That changed my life, that riff.